Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel Battle War Conflict. Today we're diving deep into one of the most talked about defense stories of this year, the saga of the Russian S-400 Triumph system, how it reportedly spent millions firing at ghosts, only to see Ukraine smash the major ammunition hub at Tikhoretsk in just minutes. We'll explore the exterior and interior of the situation, metaphorically speaking, performance, safety or reliability features, unique selling points, so to speak, for a weapon system, and the strategic implications, cost/price, and then wrap up with conclusions. Let's get into it. Let's begin with exterior, meaning the broad public face of the story, the Russian long-range air defense complex S-400 Triumph, deployed by Russia as a supposedly world-class anti-air and anti-missile barrier, has been widely portrayed as a nearly invulnerable shield. According to open sources, it has a detection and engagement range of up to 380 km for certain missile types. The story reports that the S-400 batteries have been firing numerous rounds, expending large quantities of missiles and interceptors, in some claims millions of dollars worth, chasing phantom threats, ghosts in the airspace, drones, decoys, maybe false triggers. And yet, despite this expenditure, the Ukrainians struck deep into Russia's rear at the hub town of Tikhoretsk in Krasnodar Krai, and reportedly caused rapid destruction of a huge ammunition depot there. So from the outside you have a system that is billed as top-tier, high-cost, high-capability, yet there are indications it was circumvented, fooled, bled dry, and ultimately the rear lines penetrated. That dissonance in what you see and what actually happened is the exterior story, the face and the myth of the system vs. what the adversary achieved. Now, let's move to the interior, digging under the hood, into how this system works, how it was deployed, what happened in the incident, and the broader implications. The S-400 is a complex layered air defense system. It comprises radar suites, command and control vehicles, multiple missile types, some very long-range launchers, trucks, support elements. According to Russian language sources, the detection radar for the S-400 can instrumentally detect at very long ranges. Some sources suggest up to 600 km in early warning mode, and engage targets at distances up to 380 km with the long-range 40 and 6E missiles. The intent: establish an anti-access/area denial, A2/AD bubble, meaning adversary aircraft or missiles would be deterred or destroyed before they can reach critical assets. In practice, that means the S-400 is physically large, costly, requires support vehicles, air conditioning for radar shelters, power supplies, trained crews, logistics, mobility. In other words, deployment is a major undertaking. But what appears to have happened in the Tikhoretsk episode is that Ukraine and its special forces/unmanned systems, including drones, guided missiles, exploited vulnerabilities behind this shield. For example, there are reports of a strike on the Tikhoretsk arsenal, which reportedly held thousands of tons of munitions, including North Korean light munitions. The claim is that Russian air defense assets, including S-400s, either were not optimally deployed, or were circumvented by means of decoys/drones creating distractions, or simply had been triggered into firing by phantom targets, thereby exhausting expensive missiles, giving cover for the real strike. One article described how a drone attack caused massive secondary explosions at the Tikhoretsk arsenal, and how Russian authorities said debris or drone fragments may have triggered their air defense reaction. So, on the interior we see the system's architecture, deployment cost, operational assumptions that you'll have air targets incoming, and then how the adversary turned it inside out by attacking rear logistics and exploiting resource exhaustion. Digging into performance, the publicly claimed performance of the S-400 is impressive: long-range detection, multiple target tracking, high-end missile types, integration with other systems. For many years, analysts considered it among the best in its class. However, in this real-world incident, the performance appears to have been degraded either by design or by adversary counteraction. The system apparently fired many rounds, perhaps at false or very low value targets, ghosts, and failed to prevent the Ukrainian strike on Tikhoretsk. That raises questions. Was the system misemployed? Was the radar network incomplete or suppressed? Did the logistic chain or crew training degrade? Because if a system designed for air defense fails to protect a major ammunition depot in its supposed protected zone, that means its practical performance under real contested conditions is less than the ideal. On the other side, from Ukraine's perspective, this is a performance win. Selective use of drones, decoys, and missile strikes to degrade or bypass a major Russian air defense umbrella. So the performance story is one of high claimed capability, but mixed real-world outcome, especially when adversary conducts asymmetric tactics and targets not just aircraft but logistics and air defense itself. Turning to safety features. In the context of this defense system, reliability, redundancy, robustness, crew safety, protection against counter measures, the S-400 is built to a high standard with hardened shelters for radar vehicles, mobility to avoid targeting, overlapping radar coverage, and integration with other defense assets. From a safety perspective for the system owner, these features are intended to ensure the system remains operational, survivable, and able to respond to threats. Yet, when we examine the Tikhoretsk incident, we find that either these safety features were insufficient or were circumvented. The system may have been distracted, misled by decoys, overwhelmed, or bypassed entirely because the attack target was not an aircraft but a ground depot. In effect, the safety features long-range radar, mobility, missile stockpile may not be designed for defending against very low signature drone attacks or rear-area strikes. Also, if the system expended missiles on false targets, that reduces its safety margin for real threats. So the safety narrative reveals that even top-tier systems need to adapt to evolving threats, drones, cyber, logistical attacks, and if they don't, their built-in safety doesn't guarantee full protection. Now, unique selling points. Here we interpret in defense context. Why would a country buy an S-400? Because it offers long-range engagement, layered defense, prestige, a high-tech air defense shield, deterrent value, ability to integrate with other systems. For Russia or for countries that acquire S-400s, one major USP is that it creates a formidable air defense bubble which can deter adversary air operations, provide strategic depth, and protect high-value assets. It raises the threshold for enemy operations. But now, in light of the recent events, we must ask, does that USP hold up? The Tikhoretsk strike suggests limitations when adversary uses unconventional tactics, attacks logistics, uses drones and cruise missiles, exploits rear vulnerabilities. So the USP may remain valid in conventional air force attacks scenario, fighter jets, cruise missiles, but may degrade when facing asymmetric threats. Moreover, because the system is costly and complex, the USP comes with large logistics/training costs, and adversaries will look for gaps, networked radars, low-signature threats, drones, decoys. So the unique selling points still stand but need caveats. High cost, requires full support, and cannot substitute for holistic defense strategy. Next is price. According to public open source estimates, each S-400 system is extremely expensive. Some news articles estimate around $200 million per battery/system. Other estimates go up to $500-600 million or more when including missiles, radars, support vehicles. For example, the article in Business Insider noted an S-400 system destroyed by Ukraine was worth in excess of $500 million. So the price tag is huge. In this context, when you say millions spent firing at ghosts, That refers to the economic cost of missiles expended to chase decoys or false targets. The cost of not only the system acquisition but also operation and missile expenditure is high. From the buyer's perspective, you expect that investment to translate into protection. But if instead you expend large sums on false engagements and still get penetrated, the cost-effectiveness falls. Therefore, the price discussion cannot ignore the operational cost, logistical cost, training cost, and the cost of vulnerability exploitation by the adversary. Finally, let's move into conclusion. What do we learn from this story? The S-400 Triumph remains a high-tier system with formidable claimed capability, long-range engagement, layered defense, strategic deterrence. However, the narrative around its performance in the Ukrainian conflict reveals that no system, however advanced, is invulnerable, especially when adversaries adapt, use low-signature weapons, drones, missiles, attack logistics and rear areas, and force defense systems to expend resources on decoys. The Tikhoretsk incident underscores that air defense cannot just be about shooting down enemy aircraft. It must also protect supply lines, ammunition dumps, ground logistics, mobility, radar coverage, passive defenses, deception, resilience, and redundancy. In modern warfare, the exterior face of an air defense system must be matched by interior depth in training, tactics, integration, and adaptability. For countries considering procurement, the price tag of such a system is only the beginning. The cost of full operational readiness, continuous training, spare missiles, counter, drone and counter, decoy capability, logistics must be factored. For Russia, the story may be a warning. Having the hardware is not enough. Maintaining it, employing it intelligently, and integrating it into a broader defense and resilience doctrine is essential. For Ukraine and its allies, the incident is a case study in leveraging agility, unmanned systems, deception, and targeting logistics to degrade a superior system. For viewers of this channel, the takeaway is that warfare evolves, so do counter measures, and large, expensive systems that rely on old paradigms may find themselves outflanked. If I had to summarize in one sentence, the S-400 may be a star on paper, but when the enemy hits where you least expect and forces you to shoot at shadows, your star can flicker. Thanks for watching, and as always remember, stay informed, stay alert, and we'll catch you next time on Battle WAR Conflict.